this guy was never a coach of mine, but I always, this is my coach. This is my coach right here, man. My main man, former coach of Sacramento State men's basketball team, former coach of Delta College out in Stockton, the Northern California legend, Brian Katz. Coach
Hey,
Katz, man.
I'll take that as a compliment. You consider me to be your coach. I like that. I like
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I should have went to Delta. I should have went there.
You're still the one that broke my heart and got away. I don't want to hear about it. You killed me. I'm gonna look at you, man. You'd have been Division I all conference player. That's right, though.
The coach, I know those two stops. I know Delta and Sac State. Where else did you coach?
You know, I was at Lassen Junior College for 4 years. I was at Center High School for 4 years, and then where I really cut my teeth was at Santa Clara University. I was there for 2 years. So that's pretty much my history. That's where I kind of really learned about college basketball and was able to, you know, acquire some skills and move on.
Got you. I see you. Me and Coach, we talk often. Sometimes you listen to the show and he just like, I'm just texting you to be like, you're wrong on that, Casey. You're wrong. Or he'll say you're right or whatever. But he's like, you don't need to respond. Just I heard you and this is what I think about it, right? And I love that. But the other day I was talking about, I think the Kings just, you know, finding a way to get people revved up for this season and interested in this season when at the end of last season, I didn't think there was any way they could do that. I mean, last season was such a travesty. I thought there's no way people are going to be hyped. It's going to be super wait and see when it comes to next season. But, you know, I've talked to a number of different people. Talked to Matt George. Was talking to him earlier this morning. And he was like, man, I can't wait for the season to start. I thought it was impossible for the Kings to get that kind of buzz with this city. But even Coach Katz hit me the other day saying, you know what? I'm interested in this team. I'm interested. Last year I was disinterested. I'm interested in this team. Coach, what's gone on over the last 3 months or so that you know, it's kind of got your attention when it comes to these Sacramento Kings?
Well, number one thing is hiring of Mike Brown. I mean, you're talking about a proven winner, a guy who has succeeded in this league. And I won't say that he failed with the Lakers, but let's say things weren't great. And I think you need to succeed and also learn from your mistakes if he made a few. He's worked in two of the most unbelievable organizations. But here's the big thing why he is the perfect coach for them right now, because he is a defensive-minded coach. And I guarantee I've watched this guy from way back when he was an assistant with Indiana under Rick Carlisle, and he was in charge of the defense. Any team he's ever been associated with has really defended. The other thing I think the acquisitions they've made make sense for him, meaning they're spreading the court a little bit with Herter and Monk, guys who can shoot it. Even the guys that are fighting to make the bottom of the team or guys he has a previous relationship with. So it's not like the island of misfit toys. For example, Deladova and Quinn Cook, I know they're fighting for spots. They've played on championship teams and have been around championship locker rooms. So to me, all of this makes sense. But my thing is it starts and ends really with Mike Brown.
And one of the things, because I was talking about the Kings finally having a defensive-minded guy, right? And I think I was talking to Damian about this. And I said, well, when you hear the quotes from Luke Walton after games and in press conferences and media scrums, he would preach defense as well. You know, I could sense his frustration when he would say, look, I'm just asking him to stay in front of somebody for 2 dribbles. After that, like, okay, I'll take that because I can't even get that right now before I implement a whole, dynamic defensive scheme. But I always felt that he was a defensive-minded head coach. Do you think that, like, Mike Brown is he's just different when it comes to defense, his defensive imprint on this team than Luke was, or was it just coach speak when Luke was saying that, or what do you think?
It's simple. Players know what you value. Whether you're an offensive or defensive coach is based on how you delineate playing time and what you substitute for. For example, if let's say a guy could be making some shots, but he's blowing defensive rotations. If you take him out, that sends a clear message to everybody what you value. And players are very smart. They know if you're just talking about something or it means something and it's by your action. He will sub, my prediction. I don't want to act like I know Mike Brown. I've never met him, but I watch him closely.
Right.
He will sub, in my opinion, based on defense, because he wants to come in here, in my opinion, and establish something. And look, it's a great situation because it's rock bottom. He can come in here right now and say, "Hey guys, 15 of you in the room, 5 best defenders going to start. That's how it's going to go." I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the conversation's similar to that. So when coaches talk about defense, I don't really listen. I watch how they delineate playing time and how they substitute.
Yeah. And then if you're preaching defense, and number one, you're letting a guy that's scoring give up just as much on the defensive end, and then you substitute a guy that may be working hard on defense for a guy that's not playing any defense and just jacking them up, that's going to fall on deaf ears when you're like, guys, we got to play defense. You know what I mean? Like you're not putting in the best defenders. Like it can't be that serious to you if that's the way you're going about it.
Yeah, it's the same old thing where you're talking about defense, and a guy nails 3 shots in a row, but everybody can see he's not getting back on D, or he's getting blown by his blown rotations. And you now here is where the rubber meets the road. You got to be able to go, hey, come here, you're out. And then of course, talk to the guy and say, hey man, you're not defending. It's just the way it is. We got to go. The analogy or the conversation always needs to be this: I cannot allow you to continually penalize your teammates by not defending. I can't allow you to do that. It's just very simple. Everything needs, and believe me, I really believe that Mike Brown will operate that way. I'd be shocked. I listen to you guys on the show, and I think the bar sometimes is so low now. But you guys saying, if they could be in the top 25, I wouldn't be surprised if they were in the top 10. It would not surprise me. Defense. It wouldn't surprise me. It would not surprise me.
Coach, I've said, and you, I'm sure you could back me up on this one, because we come from the same school of thought here with how you play basketball. They were like 29th last year in defense. I'm going just by like points allowed.
Yeah.
And I say there's no reason why they should be any lower than 18th, right? And that could be what you're talking about as far as having a low bar, but 12 to 18, that's like average, right? That's middle of the pack. There's no reason why, if you bring in guys that give a damn about what happens on the court, and you combine that with a guy like Mike Brown, who's going to put you probably in a better situation. It sounds crazy to me, or to a lot of people, Coach, but you should just be able to walk on the floor and be 18th. That should be the bare minimum, I feel, when you got guys that just care about, all right, I care about winning. I care about, how I look out here at my playing time. I'm going to make sure I give maximum effort on defense, if that's what coach is asking for.
I couldn't agree with you more. If you care and you follow a bed and you care, you'll be 18. Now you got a guy who's really going to emphasize it. And you have some guys who are very capable. Look, these guys are very capable. Davion Mitchell, Fox, all those guys, they're very capable. Now it comes down to, are they going to understand that they're going to have to defend if they want to play? And it's that simple. And you could say, well, they're going to play Fox no matter what. Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, it comes down to, look, like Fox has to make a decision, my opinion right now. Does he want to be a star, or does he want to be a champion? Now, there's a lot of guys in the league that are stars that make a lot of money. And when it gets tough, they kind of go, I'm getting my 20 a game and I'm doing my job. Or are they unbelievably obsessed with, no, we are going to win. I'm not going to feel I need to win. And I'll give you 3 examples of 3 guys I thought that the game beat them down early, and they figured out I can't do it on my own. And the first one is Jordan. The second one is Kobe. And the third one is LeBron. I think those guys, their competitive nature was, I'm going to do it. I can do it. I can do it. And then suddenly the game beats them down to their lowest denominator. And now they have to say, you know what? It's not working. I have to defend harder. I have to get invested in my teammates. And as a result, lift the group up. And typically it does start with the guy who's really going to defend, and also the guy who's going to get to the gym early and on off days, and also recruit others, hit you up, and hit the rookies up and say, I'll give you a quick one. I know I'm rambling. I do know for sure there was a friend of mine who was on the staff, the Lakers, when LeBron was there. They held up practice 3 hours one day because LeBron was in there working with a rookie. It started off and he got obsessed with, they were working and shooting and he was working with a rookie. Well, what kind of message does that send to the rookie?
Mm.
and to the rest of the team.
Yeah.
Was LeBron in here for 3 hours working with me? I don't even know if I'll make the team.
Right.
You
Right.
know, that's the example. That's what's got to be. That's instead of talk, it's investment in your teammates and in winning. And I think Fox is the key guy this year. He has to make the step to, all right, you know what? No, I'm going to be invested in my teammates and my coaches in every. And I'm not saying he didn't try or whatever. I'm just saying if he's a marquee player, a lot's expected.
Coach Brian Katz, former coach of Sac State and Delta College, and just an all-around coaching legend here in this region for sure. It's my guy right here. Let me ask you, in your opinion, what does that look like from Fox? So, like, does that look like stepping up his game offensively, defensively, his communication skills, getting on guys? Because we talk all the time about, being a leader and being a vocal leader and all these things. And it just doesn't seem like De'Aaron is that type of guy. That doesn't mean you can't be a leader, but he's not the type to, yell at somebody or be vocal about it. And I know you coach guys in your time that you were maybe the best player, but they were pretty quiet, and how would you deal with them and tell them you can still lead by not just yelling at somebody? Like, there's other ways that you can lead.
Yeah, I think number one, by example, for sure. And here's a simple example. Okay, I looked at the stats yesterday. He shot last year 29% from three. Okay, scenario, ball's whipped around the infield. He's got an open shot on the right wing. Herder's in the corner who's 40%. If he passes that shot up and throws it to Herder, that right there is leadership. That's investment in your teammates. If he will pass up and go good to great and take not the best shot for him, the best shot for the team. And the other part too is, yes, defensively for sure. If look, if you're yelling at a guy to get back on defense and you're trailing the pack and you're behind him, I don't think that's working. Right. Now, if you're already back and you can see everybody and you're yelling, Rashawn, you got 22, you got 22. And he's going to listen because you're already back there.
Yeah.
So again, I just would say this, Kenny, I think it's more about action which equals investment in your teammate. I think everybody leads in a different way. I would never say to a guy, you got to be like Kobe and chew guys out. Maybe that's not your deal. Don't do it. But there's ways to do it. Number one, get to the gym more than anybody else. Hit the other, I'll call it recruit the other guys. Hey, let's get there. We had a bad loss last night. Let's get there, or let's get an hour shots up. Let's go. Hey, come on. That kind of thing.
Yeah, I like that. And I'd say all the time, when it comes to letting your actions speak, that may be one of the reasons why people don't do it as much. Because the second you open your mouth and you demand something of one of your teammates, now that puts a big old spotlight on you. And some people don't want that, coach. Some people they want to fly under the radar. Like, they don't want to tell, even if it's the right thing and what's supposed to happen, they don't want to tell their shooting guard, hey, I need you to get in the stance. You got to be better on defense. Because the second you say that, they're gonna be like, all right, well, let me see what you're doing on defense.
Exactly.
What are you doing? And that's some people don't want that. Some people want to fly under the radar. I'm not saying that's De'Aaron Fox or anything like that. I'm just saying I believe that's a lot of the reason why sometimes people don't get as vocal or demand stuff out of their teammates. And to me, those are the losing teams. The winning teams and the leaders are the guys that say, I remember Michael Jordan. I'm not saying everybody got to be Michael Jordan. But in the documentary, The Last Dance, he said, I was hard on my teammates. I demanded a lot out of them, but I never asked them to do anything that I wasn't willing to do myself. So if I'm telling you, get back on defense or get in the stance, keep this guy in front of you, damn it, I'm expecting the same thing from myself. And that's the kind of leadership that I think is contagious on the team.
Yeah, I think to the point on the documentary, talked about even his rookie year, he said, I came in, I wasn't going to say anything. Who are those? I hadn't done anything. I just came with those guys so hard that by about midseason, they started looking to me for leadership type thing. So it's kind of like you got to do it first before you can say it. But I'll say the three guys, and I'll even say four, I wrote this down, I think are the best today, bar none at that, of elevating the group, of setting the example, because they're so invested in their teammates. And in winning. They're invested in winning. They're not saying they want to win. They're action invest. LeBron, Steph Curry, and Giannis, my opinion, It's not even close.
Yeah.
Now, the other guy, I will say, and a lot of guys are, whatever they want. I think Chris Paul. I really do. You can say what you want to say. Oh, they haven't won it, this, that. He is a guy that you can see is really invested. As an example, let's just say you and I are hooping, Kenny. If all I ever do is yell at you and tear your head off, well, you're not listening.
Right.
But guess what? If I get you the ball and you miss a shot and I say, Kenny, great job. I'm going to get you that shot again next time. You're going to knock it down. If I do that, you start getting invested in me. I get invested in you. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It goes back and forth. Those guys, those 4 guys to me are tremendous at that. They're tremendous, and they elevate everyone. And you can see the relationships they have with the guy. You can see it on the court. Yeah. You can see it on the court.
Yeah. Coach Brian Katz, kind enough to give me a bunch of time here on D-Lo and KC today. Just talk about basketball, the psychology of the game and being a leader and things of that nature. Before I get you out of here, Coach, this team in general, do you think that they have enough on paper, because we don't know anything until we actually see it on the court, but on paper, do you think they have enough to break this 16-year playoff drought? Do they have the horses? Do they have the leadership? Do they have the coaching to finally, in a very tough West, the West is loaded. They got some good teams. I say this all the time. The NBA is loaded. I mean, the NBA is stacked. There's so many great players in the league today. There's no pushover teams. I don't care who you are. But do this Kings team, do they finally have enough to end this drought?
I believe the reason that they have, I think that they'll push to be 500, and I think they can make the playoffs. And I think the reason I've said it again, it starts with Mike Brown and what he's going to emphasize and what he's going to demand. I like the pieces make sense, but I really believe the last piece of the puzzle is De'Aaron Fox, and he's got to invest and lead in his own way, whatever that is. If everyone is invested in him and he's invested in that, I'm telling you, I believe this team will take off, because they're not that far off. People think they are.
Yeah.
I don't think they are, because last year, I mean, look, they just didn't defend anybody. Now, they got some guys on there I think are high character guys and winners. For example, Harrison Barnes, a winner. I don't care. I hear people criticize. I was looking at the stats yesterday. Looking at it, I'd have thought he's 105 the way everybody talks about him, like he's an old man. He's only 30.
Right.
He's 30.
Right.
He's a winning, I'm going to use the term, he's a winning player. Davion Mitchell is a winning player. Sabonis is a winning player. They have some guys that are winning, not just talented, but winning players. I would just say this too, the last thing, and I know I don't want to ramble on too long. I just hope that the Kings will stay with Mike Brown and just fly it out there. Look, he's our guy. Don't come to us with problems and stuff, because we're all in on him one way or the other, and it isn't going to matter, because we are all in. I believe if they do, I believe they'll in the playoffs sooner or later, and I do believe down the road, and I'm not that far as you think, they'll be contending for championships. I'm a big believer in Mike Brown, really.
Let's go, Coach Katz, man. Hey, Coach, you would be proud of me. I coached the 9 and 10-year-olds, and the other day in our game, I told them before the game, before we went out, I said, look, all I need you to do, because we work on defense for like an hour and 15 minutes every practice. All I need you to do is to sprint to your spot and communicate. Whatever happens after they make the shot, if they fool you or whatever the case may be and you're out of position, that's fine. But if you can't sprint and communicate, you're coming off. The starters thought I was playing. First 2 defensive possessions, I didn't hear nothing, yanked them all out. That's what we do. No, I'm setting the groundwork right now. You can't play if you can't talk and defend. And I was on my Coach Katz stuff. I was like, Coach Katz.
That's exactly what we just talked about. See, your players know what you value, right?
Yeah.
They're going to run a lot harder to that spot to communicate. Yeah. They may not even know what they're saying, but their mouth's going to be moving.
That's it. That's all it is, man. Coach, it's always good catching up with you, man. And we got to do this more during the season, man. You got to come on here and just tell us. See the Kings going.
I just want to know, why are you repping the Royals today? What's up with that?
It's just the style. It's just the style. I got the upside down KC. It's just the only hat I'll never wear is the Dodgers hat. That's all it is. Okay. I'll wear every other hat for fashion. Dodgers hat, I'll never wear a Dodgers hat. Not my job.
Hey, say hi to your mom, and thanks again for having me on. I appreciate it.
Will do, Coach. I appreciate it.